Welcome to the Richard Lloyd USA YouTube channel. I'm Richard Lloyd. Today I'm making a video on the Linksys EA8300 router. Last week I made a video showing you how to plug a USB printer into the back of this router using the stock firmware, and I realized it's like, holy cow, this firmware is really not great. And I've also owned this router for about 4 years and really only used it for about 6 months before I put it away because of a lack of performance and stability. I didn't like its functionality either. It's just really clumsy. I decided after last week's video that I would revisit it and see what I could do and see if I could do an update video to help this be better. And what I found is, to my surprise, is that you can install DD-WRT firmware on it, which is a third-party firmware. And it's open source. It gives you a lot more functionality and makes it a lot more stable. So stock firmware, what did I find? Slow, cumbersome interface, buggy, it hangs, and the router reboots too. US printing is clumsy and complicated to set up. USB storage does not work at all. I couldn't get it to work at all. I think it's just an old protocol of SMB, but again, couldn't get that to work on my computer, on several different computers. 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi is very slow, and it seems to be locked. Well, it's locked on functionality. Wi-Fi configuration is limited on both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands, and support for it will be discontinued at the end of this year. So yeah. And also Wi-Fi security is limited to WPA3. Now, I have it right here. I have it running. This little wire I got hanging off here, that's my serial connection. I'm not currently using it, but I can't connect to it through serial. But regardless, I've been testing it for days and days, well, since last week, and I cannot get the stock firmware to work well. The reason I gave it up, 6 months in, about 4 years ago, is because there was no DD-WRT firmware for it. So recently, and I think it's 2024, April 1st, 2024, DD-WRT released a upgrade or a firmware for this router. And they've been releasing upgrades and firmware upgrades since then. So there's one as young as a week ago. So again, it's excellent news for anybody who owns this router. If you own this router, this video is a gift to you because it basically takes this router from, I don't want to use it, to perfectly fine to use. So DD-WRT, what's it got? Fast, intuitive, customizable interface. It makes sense. Rock solid, fast, stable. USB printing is simple on it. You don't have to put clients on every software on every client that wants to use it. I'm not going into USB printing in this video, but I will do a follow-up video showing you how to do it with DD-WRT on this router. Storage works very well, where it doesn't work at all with the stock firmware. Wi-Fi improvements, 2.4 gigahertz is unlocked, meaning that you have access to all the configuration parameters of the Wi-Fi band. You also get something that's not there, or at least I couldn't find, on the stock firmware, something called TurboQAM 256, which theoretically should make it even faster. 2.4 gigahertz is much faster and stable. I don't know, maybe it's not much faster, but it's definitely faster and stabler. And 5 gigahertz, all the features on that are unlocked on both 5 gigahertz radios. Also, when you put DD-WRT, this is the first time I've ever seen this happen. This router actually gets unlocked with WPA3. So when you put the DD-WRT firmware on this router, you get WPA2 and WPA3, but there is no WPA3 protocol on the stock firmware, and that's basically increasing your Wi-Fi security protocol to modern today's version, most secure available, just by doing a firmware upgrade. And if that's all you got out of this video was just WPA3 and everything else stayed the same, that would be worth to me for doing it. But you get a lot more than that, and I'll show you as the video goes on. In this video, I'm going to show you how to download and install the third-party firmware, DD-WRT, into your EA8300, how to configure the router to connect to the internet securely, Configure the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection for maximum speed and security. Configure the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi connections for maximum speed and security. And use WPA2 and 3 security protocols for safety and compatibility. That's the best way to set it up anyway. Caveat for this video, when you put DD-WRT on this router, you have to flash it twice. On the second flash, once you do the second flash, you can't revert back to the stock firmware easily. You have to do a serial, what they call revert, and that requires a little bit of electronics from Amazon. This is about $5. I bought 2 of them for $7. And with this and a little bit of soldering on the motherboard on the router, which would either be putting pins into the proper places on the motherboard or just soldering wires to those spots, you can fix it. You can revert it back to the stock firmware. But you know what? After you see how this thing runs with DD-WRT, you're never going back to the stock firmware because you won't want to. It's that good. So let's go next. All right, here's the technical specs. 2.4 gigahertz, supposed to be 400 megabits per second. 5 gigahertz, 867 megabits, and the second radio is the same parameter, just different channels, and processors and all that is, it's plenty fast as a router, like an Ethernet router. A bonus here is you get one USB port at the back that is USB 3, which is very fast. It actually works really quickly with my hard drive plugged into it, which is something you can't do with the stock firmware because it's just not going to allow you to do it. And it says WPA2, but with the DD-WRT firmware, you get WPA3 too, which is like for free, by the way. This firmware is free. So it's amazing what you get. WPA3 was officially launched by the Wi-Fi Alliance in 2018. Now this router was made in 2017. So it's amazing that it has the ability to do WPA3 when it was released a year before this date. So obviously they had it in the works, long before, and this router has the hardware to do WPA3. They just never unlocked it on the Linksys firmware. And I've got the latest version of the Linksys firmware, and it's not in there anywhere. You cannot upgrade this to WPA3 with the stock firmware. But we got around that with DD-WRT. All right. And before we start here, if you're going to do this, first thing you want to do is power up your router, let it boot completely, and then hit that red reset button on the back. Just hold it down for 3 or 4 seconds, for 10 to 15 seconds. Don't use anything sharp or metallic. Just use something soft like a toothpick or something like that. Press it down and hold it down for 10 to 15 seconds. The router will reboot and then it'll be in a default state. And that's the cleanest way to get this done. All right. So let's go take a look at the router and show you what I found and why I'm doing this. All right. Here's the router. Mine's at 192.168.1.1. That is the default IP address. If yours is in a different place, I'm going to shut this off here, Wi-Fi off, and connect through Ethernet, which is the only way you should actually flash your router is through Ethernet. I believe it's this one. Let's see what happens. Yep, that's it. I'm connected. So if you want to see what your router is set to, actually I'll do this even easier. Down here on your Ethernet or Wi-Fi icon, right-click it, choose Network and Internet Settings. Go to Ethernet, in my case, and then scroll down and you'll see IPv4 default gateway right there. And it is 192.168.1.1. And your IPv4 default gateway is your router. So that's the IP address where you'll find your router. Go there, log into the router. Well, you're going to have to set it up if you reset it, but I'm assuming you've done that now and you're following along. And you get a lot of this waiting thing going on. It's a pretty interface. It looks neat, but it's disjointed. There's stuff all over the place where it doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. Like for instance, security. You go here, you would expect to see the password for the router. It's not in here, right? So there's the firewall. That's normal, but the password for the router is in connectivity, which is like a strange place to put it, don't you think? Like, what's it doing there? And there's your Wi-Fi settings and your passwords, and it's just a strange place to put it. Why is this here when it's like normally in most routers this information would be in the Wi-Fi tab, but it's not. It's in connectivity. It's weird. Currently, I have the latest update, and I can prove that to you here by checking for updates, and it will tell you no updates found. This is the latest update, stock firmware for this router. So this is where you come to actually set up the flash. But right now, I just want to show you a few things. Let's go to Wi-Fi settings, and you can see here, Wi-Fi. It's got all band steering, which makes all 3 bands one SSID. I guess that's okay, but I've got it off because I wanted to test the individual bands. Now, the 5 gigahertz 1 and 5 gigahertz 2 band on this router work decently, whether it's stock or DD-WRT. So I'm not going to test that. But the 2.4 gigahertz band is really, really wonky. It's hard to describe, but I will show you on speed test what I mean. And by locked, this is what I meant. Like it says auto and 20 megahertz. That's all you got. There's no 40 megahertz. There's no 20 megahertz. There's no mixing it. Channels, okay, that's normal. You get access to that. That's good. But that's it. That's all you get. You wait till you see what you get on DD-WRT to configure the Wi-Fi. Much more. And it lets you experiment and get the best results you can get. But this is just pretty well locked down. And so that's the Wi-Fi place. Now I wanted to show you something else about this. Guest access is on automatically. And if you go look at the Wi-Fi for guest access, there, guest, it's not even locked. It doesn't, like, take a look. Open, connect. Right? So, yeah, again, it's going to ask me for, look, it takes me right into the internet. So anybody can log into your guest network, just right off default, right? This is the latest firmware from Linksys. So I'm going to turn that off because I don't like that at all. And look, see what I mean about it's slow, right? You know what? I'm going to turn that back on again because that's the default setting. And we're going to keep it that way. But yeah, you'll be seeing a lot of this if you're using this router interface. You don't see this on DD-WRT. So yeah, there's another thing I don't like about it. Let's go back to, yeah, I think that's about all I want to. External storage doesn't work. I couldn't get it to work. The USB printer did work when I did it in my video last week, so that's good. But let's go to connectivity, and we're just going to leave that there for now. This is where you got to go to upgrade it to DD-WRT. But I wanted to show you the 2.4 gigahertz problem that I found, and I had it when I originally owned the router. So I'm going to disable my Ethernet. So we're only going to be connecting through Wi-Fi here. And I'm going to connect to EA8300 which is the 2.4 gigahertz. Already connected. Okay. Minimize this. Let's do a speed test on it. And watch what happens. It always happens. It's very peculiar. Okay. 2.4 gigahertz, this is actually not great speed. I've got a 12-year-old router that will beat this. And it's only a 100 megabit router. Now look at the upload speed. It's like barely anything. This should be my upload speed maximum should be 40 megabits per second. But you see what happened here? It's just so strange. I don't understand it. And I've flashed it, reflashed it, ran it. I've been, experimenting with this router for days, like seriously, 4 or 5 days, just trying to figure out all the quirks and see if I could get the stock firmware to work. I cannot, but DD-WRT fixes all this stuff, and I will show you that. But anyway, 69.58 and 507 upload speed. So let me show you something. Let me connect to my studio's Wi-Fi, which is right here, at 2.4 gigahertz. Same internet connection, everything is just a different router that I'm using. It's actually a Netgear, and it's connected there to it. Now let's do a speed test on it. Okay, let's go here. I am connected. Yeah, go. Watch what happens. Look at that. Like 200, right? That's the same internet connection. Like, you know, it's connected to the same modem as this router is. It's you know, it's like obviously significantly faster. And if we look at the connection properties for that connection, we'll see that we have Wi-Fi 4, 802.11n, WPA3, which is cool, and 400, 300 megabits per second, right? And there's the final tally. I mean, we can do it again here. And actually, we don't need to. We know that's more than fast enough. Yeah, just trying to see if it gets slower, but you know, again, super fast. Again, 2.4 gigahertz, right? So we're going to connect to the Linksys again at 2.4. Let that go up here. Yeah, 38. It might get to 40. Let's see. Yeah. 39. Not bad. So we'll connect now again. And let's go see what those connection settings are, or parameters. And you can see 300, 300. That's decent. That's a decent speed. And, you know, 802.11n, Wi-Fi 4, perfect. WPA2, because that's all you get with this, what do you call it, stock firmware. And just close that off. Let's do the test again. I'm going to go back and look at that again because it does change over time. So as it's going there, I'm going to go look at that. Yeah, 121.54. So we originally had 300, 300. Look at it now. It's just, it's gone down for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, so 57.74. So compared to my other 2.4 gigahertz N connection, yeah, that's pretty pathetic. And look at the upload speed. It's crazy. Yeah, that's like this is why I couldn't really use it. It just was way too unreliable. Back to this, and you know, my computer is actually 3 feet away from me with Wi-Fi on the back of it, big antennas, and this is right here. It shouldn't, like, you just, you know, wouldn't think that it would be that bad, but it is. Let's go back here. Just look at that again. Well, yeah. 270 and 21. What is that? That is so crazy, right? Like the 21 is the one that bothers me. The upload speed is just crazy slow. So yeah, there's what's happening. And if I use it, and also the more you do the test, it seems to get slower. So it's like it gets tired or overheated or something. I don't know. But I don't think it's overheated because this does not happen when we put the DD-WRT firmware in there. All right. So that's enough of exploring this thing. Let's turn it into what it should be, and that is a decent router by taking this firmware off the router. So what we're going to do here is go get the firmware. And as I stated, I've owned this router for 4 years, but the firmware hasn't been around for that long. That's why I never put it in, because when I went to look for it, it wasn't on DD-WRT. So let's go to the DD-WRT website, which is dd-wrt.com. And go to the router database, and in here we're going to put EA8300. And look at that. It still doesn't show that it can do it, right? It's not there. But here's the trick. You go here to other downloads, and again, if you do this search on DD-WRT on your router and you can't find it, whatever router it is, you know, doesn't have to be an EA8300. Go look at the other downloads. So click up here to the other downloads, go to betas, choose the latest year, 2026, or latest if you wish, and it's R63790 right there. And here, just to hit Control F, let's get rid of the cookie policy there. There we go. So Control F, let's see if that works again. There we go. And we're going to go to type AE83, EA8300. There we go. And there it is. Linksys EA8300. Now, if you go back in time, this is kind of funny actually. We'll go here to betas again. Betas. In 2024. Now I've owned this since 2022, and it was made in 2017. Okay, so if you look at, where is it? There, 55576, 2024 0401, which is April Fool's Day on 2024. Take a look. That's when it first shows up. So this is the oldest version you can find if you want to go to very, very first version and work your way back up. And Control F, EA 8300. There it is. I'm not doing that though. I'm going for the latest. And yeah, just wanted to show you that, you know, it's in 2024, April Fool's Day. So when it was, the first release was ever put out. If you go here to 2024 back again and go to, where is it, 4.1? Okay, 0325, which shows you how often that's like 6 days between releases. And do that search again, you're not going to find it. It's not there. So there. Now, pretty cool, right? Now, again, like if you don't find it at your router in the router database, go check it this way and see if the latest version or the latest beta, which would be 2026 currently, if that listing has your router. It may. It certainly did here. So I'm going to go with 63790. And I'll just do the search again. Go to it. There we go. Linksys. We're going to download this. And then, so there's 2 files to doing this. There we go. There's one. Didn't ask me where to put it, but we'll let it go. It's probably going into the download. And yeah, so download both these files. And the thing about this too is, again, you know, I put the caveat at the beginning. You need a serial connection to actually revert this back to, you know, the stock firmware. But like I said, once you do this, you'll never want to go back to it. So I'm just going to create a folder here. And I'm just going to drag these 2 files that were dropped in the download directory into that folder. Nice and neat. There's the 2 files you need to make this into DD-WRT. All right, we've got our firmware. We're ready to go. We've done the testing, but you need to never, ever, ever flash a router through Wi-Fi. We already know the Wi-Fi on this router is sketchy. Look at the upload speed. I wouldn't trust it to do anything. And anyway, even if I did trust it, I still wouldn't do it through Wi-Fi. It has to be done through Ethernet. So if you don't have an Ethernet port, get yourself something like this. These are USB 3 gigabit Ethernet adapters. They're about $10 a piece on Amazon, and I have links for them in the video description. Please use those as they are affiliate links, and they help me out when you use them, and it doesn't cost any more than going directly to Amazon and buying them there. So do me a favor, use those. I appreciate it very much, and thank you in advance. So first thing we got to do is definitely get off Wi-Fi. We can't do this on Wi-Fi. So turn off the Wi-Fi. I'm going to go here to my Ethernet, Linksys EA8300 24. So we're connected to it through Ethernet and Ethernet only. Make sure your Wi-Fi is off. I've noticed it turns itself on by itself once in a while, which is weird. We've got the downloads. That's good. So let's go to the router, 192.168.1.1. I'm already logged in. Go to connectivity. And then current version, we're good. Let's go choose a file. And downloads, and I put it on DD-WRT. Let's go to it. And we need the factory to DD-WRT bin file. That's the first file. We'll do that. Open. Start. Yeah, it'll warn you it's unrecognized, but it doesn't matter. It'll let you do it anyway. So click on yes, and yes again. As I was saying, I wouldn't trust that Wi-Fi interface, especially with that upload going up and down like that. And what are you doing right now? We're actually uploading a file to the router. So I wouldn't want to do that through a sketchy Wi-Fi connection. And I wouldn't want to do it through a good Wi-Fi connection either. It's just, there's too much chance of it going wrong. Always, always, always use Ethernet. All right, I'll let this go. It's going to reboot, and I'll pick it up after it's done doing that. Right, router's back up. You can see right there, I got a little globe in the center. It's a good indication that it's on the internet. Close the browser window because I wanted to start fresh, just to not carry over any of the other old browser pages from the stock firmware. So new private window, go to 192.168.1.1. There we go. Same, that's the default for DD-WRT. Put in some appropriate username and password. I'm going with admin and just pasting one in here for quickness. There we go. And what you need to do now, straight to administration. And did you notice that that showed you all that information? Let's just do, I'm going to hit cancel here just to show you this again. This is something we're going to have to fix too. I don't like it. I think it's a bit of a security issue. New private window, open it up. Here at 192.168.1.1. You get all this information, but you're not logged into the router yet, right? So this shouldn't be being advertised to people who don't have access or who shouldn't have access to the router. So I'll show you how to fix that here in a second. Click the administration tab. Of course, you got to log in. So admin, and there we go. And here, this info site password protection is unchecked, which I think is a security risk, really. So click on, put a check mark in enabled, and then hit save and apply. And that'll stop, like now when you come into the browser page to look at your router, unless you have a password, you can't see anything about it, which is the way it should be as far as I'm concerned, by default. I guess it's just it's a way of getting new users to understand they're actually logged into the router. But see, now you don't get anything, which is the way it should be. So admin and your password, sign in, go to administration tab, firmware upgrade, because we have to do the second file to finish the flash. And you have to do the second file twice. So I'll show you what I mean. Go to choose file, go to downloads, where we have the file, and Linksys, where we saved it. Now DD-WRT EA8300 web flash bin is what we're going to use. That's the second file. Hit open. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this twice. And the reason we're going to do it twice is because there's two partitions on this router. They're basically, they split the memory into two pieces. One has the primary firmware image, and one has a backup firmware image. So when you put this first image in, you're flashing the primary. When you put in the second one, you're flashing the secondary. So when you do it twice, that's how you do it. So the first time you flash it, you put it on the primary. Second time you flash it, you put it on the secondary. So here we're going to do this same procedure that I'm showing you right now one more time after you do it the first time, 2 times. So this file gets upgraded into this router 2 times. Reason for that is to get both images the same on both partitions. Now, why are there 2 partitions on this router? Well, one is the primary, and the secondary is a backup in case the primary gets messed up. And the way you access the secondary is by actually using the power button. What you do to switch over to the secondary partition is you turn the power off, you turn it on, you wait 10 seconds, you power it down for 5 seconds, you turn it on again, you wait 10 seconds, you power it down for another 5 seconds, you turn it on again, you wait 10 seconds, you power it down for another 5 seconds, and at that point, when you turn it on again, it'll switch automatically to the backup partition or image, all right? So again, this part of the video you need to do twice. I'm not going to show you that twice. I'm just going to show you how to do it the first time, and I'm assuming that you'll come right back to the administration firmware upgrade tab and do this again. So I'm just going to hit upgrade here, and I'll pick it up after I do it a second time, and then we'll continue on. Opened up a new window, just go to 192.168.1.1, and now you see what's supposed to happen exactly. Nothing on the background, just a login screen, the way I like it. There we go. Status screen. Okay, so now we've flashed that second file twice. Everything's good. We're ready to go. Go to Setup, the Setup tab. Make sure that the shortcut forwarding engine right here is on. And by default, it should be, so that's good. Change your time zone to wherever you are. I'm in Central Texas, so I'm in the Central, U.S. Central Time. And I'm just going to hit Save on that. We'll hit Save and Apply in a minute. Right now, I just wanted to show you this. And we're going to go over here to wireless. And I'll show you the wireless setup that is here. And by default, which is kind of a weird thing, but if you go to wireless and the wireless tab and then wireless security, you'll see that all of this is disabled, which means right now the Wi-Fi on this router is wide open. So we're going to change that real quick. Choose WPA on this field right here. Then we're going to choose WPA2 and WPA3 personal. Look at that, WPA3, isn't that cool? And over here on the algorithms, CCMP-128 AES. That is the most secure way of getting this router to be compatible and secure and not vulnerable to being cracked open. And WPA3 is awesome as well. So you've got the best of all three things there. So hit save. Got to put a password in here. Let's do that. I'll just paste mine in here. And if you want to unmask it, just do that. There you go. And you can see and make sure that you got it right. I'm pasting it in because it's just easier. So there's that. We'll hit save. And we'll do this again with the second radio. And it always scrolls up and messes me up. WPA2. And it does it again there. WPA3. Again. Kind of annoying. I don't know why it does that, but save. Oh, forgot the password again. It does at least remind you not to leave it blank, which is good. It won't let you do it. So save. And we'll do that one more time for the third radio down here, WPA. Scroll down to it, WPA2. Hope they fix that in the future. WPA3, scroll back down again. CCMP-128, put the password in. There we go. And here I'm going to hit save and apply, which will reboot the radios, but that's okay. It won't reboot the router, just the radios, which is cool. Right now we're on the internet. Let's go do a speed test while those reboot, just on Ethernet. I'm plugged in here through Ethernet only, as you can see. Wi-Fi is on, but it's not connected, so I'm just going to turn the Wi-Fi right off. So it's only an Ethernet test here. And I like the, wow, look at the advertising. Fort Worth. Okay, I'm not doing the advertising on this, so I'm going to open up another, let's go. Hit the go on this, but I prefer using the Firefox because it blocks all that advertising. And once this is done over here, which it is not yet started. Oh, allow. Look at this crazy stuff. All right, I'm done with that. Let's go to speed test here on Firefox. Incognito, private browsing. Yeah, it did reboot the router. That's why. Okay, I see the router right now. It does not have the globe up anymore, but it does have WPS. Now it's not WPS. What that is DD-WRT's way of telling you that the radios are on, that Wi-Fi is available, and it's on. So if you see that on your router right there, it is telling you that it's on. If you see a globe, it's on the internet. So now it's connected again. Let's see what's happening. There we go. There's speed test coming up. And Fort Worth is what we want. We'll hit it here and see what we get with just Ethernet. Amazing, right? Look at that result. Straight out of the box, minimal configuration, and on Ethernet, I'm getting over 900, and I only have a gigabit a gigabit internet speed, and 40 megabits up, and I wasn't getting anywhere near that on the stock firmware. Look at my upload speed. I was getting like, well, on Wi-Fi I was getting like 4. So this is a decent score on this on Ethernet, which is the way we're connected. Let's go look at what Edge did. No, nothing. Let's see if we get anything better over here. I just don't like the advertising. It drives me nuts. By the way, this router, if you look at services, does have an ad blocking capability. Now, I may do a video of that in the future, but it is there. So you can, research that. This is all about experimenting with your router. So there's a lot of cool things about this router. It does USB. We've got core USB. You get printer support, storage support, a lot of functionality. You can plug I've plugged a 5 terabyte drive into this router, and it works beautifully well, very quick. It actually is as quick on USB as my Netgear R9000, which is incredible. My other Netgears aren't anywhere near as quick as this router. So something about the hardware on this USB on this router seems to be very fast, which is cool. And I'll be doing videos on USB in the future. Let's get back to the speed test here. All the advertising. We've gotten 896 over here on the Edge browser, and over here 930. That's awesome. I'm going to turn this off because I don't like the advertising on that. Go back to the router again, 192.168.1.1. Ask me to log in, so admin, and the password. Now, we've got to finish setting up the Wi-Fi. Okay, so we'll go to the wireless tab. And here you'll see that all the service set IDs or the SSIDs or the name of the Wi-Fi radios are the same, DD-WRT. That's not going to work. So here I'm just going to put 24 on this one for 2.4 gigahertz. I'm going to put 50 on this one for 5 gigahertz. And I'm going to put 52 here on this one. It's also 5 gigahertz, but it's the second 5 gigahertz. So I'm going to hit save here. So that's the start. Let's go back and look at our wireless security. Make sure everything stayed the way it was supposed to. There's the first radio. Looks like everything's good. Second radio. Looks like everything's good. Everything's good there as well. So here we're going to say save and apply, which will usually reboot the radios, if not the router itself. Let's go to basic settings. And then I'll show you how I configure it for what I know to be the maximum speed that this is going to give you for Wi-Fi. So looks like that's rebooting the radios, but that's okay. So on 2.4 gigahertz, I found that putting this on N 2.4 gigahertz here, take this to 40 megahertz, wide 40 megahertz. The channel, you can play with the channel because depending on where you are, that's going to be a determining factor, especially if your neighbors are, got like 14 neighbors with 2.4 gigahertz as well. So you may play with that and the extension if you wish, a channel, but I'm not going to. Now, the advanced settings, that's the part that the stock router doesn't have. Look at all this stuff. It's crazy what it's got going on. And you can play with these settings and see what you're going to get. But the one I wanted to show you here is TurboQAM, QAM 256. That is something I didn't see on the stock router, but here it is. And this should make your 2.4 gigahertz faster. But again, you can experiment with it on and off. I'm just going to show it to you, turn it on, and basically set up all the Wi-Fi radios the best I know. Here I see something that says legacy rate 11B. Well, I'm not going to be using that, so I'm going to disable that, and then I'm going to just hit save and apply. And after I'm done doing the save and apply, I'm going to uncheck the advanced settings because I just don't like seeing it there all the time. So there we are. That's the settings that I use for generically best settings for 2.4 gigahertz. You can change them. Again, this is all about experimentation. Here, we're going to take the 5 gigahertz and I'm going to go with AC only. I'm going to go with 80 megahertz. The auto buttons seem to work quite well on this router, so I'm just going to leave those on auto and see if there's anything here that I might see as something I need to do, and I don't see it. You may want to use beamforming here, multi-user, single-user beamforming. This may help extend your range and speed. So you can play with that. I'm not going to play with that. I'm going to leave it alone. And everything else in here, I'm going to leave alone, just stock. And so I just wanted to show you the advanced settings for this. And they're the same for both 5 gigahertz radios, so I'm not going into that 2 times. You can see that's at 80. So I'm going to hit save and apply on that. Scroll down here, and we're just going to do it one more time. Same settings, AC only, 80 megahertz. And yeah, you see 160 megahertz here. It doesn't seem to work for this radio, so I'll just leave it on 80. The results will be the same for both channels as far as the speed goes, because they're the same ratings. Let's go back here. You can see here on my specifics that both 5 gigahertz radios are 867 megabits per second max. So they're the same. They're just 2 separate radios. So you get that twice, which is cool. And I'll show you where that's cool here. I'm just going to hit save and apply. All right. So let's say you wanted the kids on one Wi-Fi and you know, the adults on another. So you could choose either one of the bands to get the same speed anyway. But look at this. Radio scheduling. So you click this button, and now you can tell the router, look, between midnight and 7 o'clock in the morning, no Wi-Fi, right? And let's go between 9 o'clock and so 9 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the morning, turn off the Wi-Fi. And here it will, if you hit save and apply, when 7 o'clock comes along, when 9 o'clock comes along, it shuts off, and it stays off until 8 o'clock in the morning. So pretty cool. You can say, okay, that's it for Wi-Fi for you guys, and and be done with that connection. But you still have your Wi-Fi that you can use all you want for. We'll call this the adult network. But pretty cool, right? And both have the ability to do that, so you can do that on both if you wish. All right, so pretty cool. Just wanted to show you that. I'm going to turn that off on both. We don't need it. There we go. Disable it and save and apply again. So at this point, Wi-Fi is set up the way I think it should be for the most maximal speed. Let's go test it. So I'm connected through Ethernet. I'm going to just pull the cable on the back of that router, the Ethernet cable, and you can see that turn back into a globe over there. And here we're going to go to Wi-Fi, turn it on. So we're waiting for the radio to come back up. Okay, WPS is showing up. I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi, turn it back on again because it seems to refresh faster. And there they are showing up. So we'll start by testing the DD-WRT 24, which is the 2.4 gigahertz band. Okay, DD-WRT 24. Let's go. Connect. We're now connected to it. And you see this little info or I button over here. Click on that, and it'll give you all your connection setting parameters. You can see DD-WRT, Wi-Fi 4 802.11n, which is what it is. You can't go any higher with that. It's connected at 2.4 gigahertz. It's using channel 9, and it's on 300. Look at that, 300 up, 300 down. So excellent speed connection speed. Let's go do a speed test here. See what we get. And if I get more than 5 megabits per second on the upload, I'm happy, and I know I'm going to, but I just wanted to show it to you. And look at that. Look at that for 2.4 gigahertz connection, 164. 150, and like I said, this is a 9-year-old router that was a dog before I put this firmware in it. It just was not giving me that kind of speed result. So you can see that it's a vast improvement. Again, just look at the, pause the video when I show you all the settings for the Wi-Fi. Use those, and you should get these speeds as well. So let's see. Excellent result. Look, 39.67, almost 40. 40 is the max I can ever get on this Wi-Fi, as that's the highest my modem will do upload to the internet. So cable, I'm using cable internet, that's why. Excellent. So now we're going to connect to the second radio, which is the first 5 gigahertz. Scroll down here. There it is, DD-WRT 50, connect. Connected. And again, info button over here. And I forgot to show you that on, let's go back one thing. I did forget to show you something on the 2.4, which is, ultimately cool. This is amazing. WPA3 personal on the 2.4 gigahertz band just by putting this firmware in. It's not available on the Linksys stock firmware for this router, and I think if this is the only thing DD-WRT gave to you, that would be worth putting it on anyways. It's like higher, it's the highest level of security protocol for Wi-Fi currently available. So look at that, for free. You've got WPA3 on a 9-year-old router, and it was built before this was even a standard. So pretty awesome. I'm very impressed with that. Just wanted to show you that on the 2.4, and it's also available on the other two bands, or the other two radios. Going to the 5 gigahertz, the first one, and in here you will see again 802.11ac, WPA3 personal, perfect, 5 gigahertz, and we're on channel 56 on this one, and 866 and 866 megabits per second. Let's see what kind of speed we get. The two 5 gigahertz radios are locked to their channels. They have two separate ranges. One is on the lower range of the 5 gigahertz channels, and the other one's on the higher range. And they do that on purpose so that the two won't, so that you can't inadvertently put both radios on the same channel. There's no possible way. Look at that, 438 megabits per second, beautiful, 40 up. Again, it's a 9-year-old router. It's doing amazingly well, and obviously this firmware opens it up and makes it go. So we're on that one. This is all I need to see here. Excellent result. So I'm going to log in here on the 5.2, or the second 5 gigahertz radio. Again, we go and check the information over here with the info button, and we will have AC. We will have WPA3, just like we should, and 866 megabits per second. All right, so there we go. We hit go on this. And again, beautiful result. 400 and something, even faster. This is Wi-Fi on a 9-year-old router. I mean, amazing. This was a heck of a router at the time, but unfortunately, it's always had this dodgy firmware in it. And I didn't notice that 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, 2 years ago, DD-WRT came out with firmware for this router. But now I know, and if you have the EA8300, definitely flash it up. You will be much happier with it. Let's go back here to the router. I'll show you the services here. You see that we have USB, NAS, a hotspot, ad blocking, all sorts of stuff to play with and learn. I'll be doing videos on these buttons in the future. So let's go back to wireless. We're at this point basically configured, out of the box, ready to go. Be your home network router and enjoy at this point. I just want to show you a few things you can play with. There's the channels. You can play with that. That's something that may or may not increase your speeds. Same here. And you can see that it's between 36 and 64 on this channel selection, which is the first 5 gigahertz radio, and much higher on this side. I don't know if that gives you any more speed. Let's just try it. I'm going to try 161, save and apply. But basically, I'm done. That's how you configure this. That's how you load this up. And if you want to know how to take this off this router, you will need a serial connection like this. And I'll put links to this in the video description. This is about $5 on Amazon, and I bought two of them for like $8. And great little device. It's a USB to serial breakout. You plug this into your computer. You plug these wires into the router's motherboard, but you got to solder some pins into it in order to do that. If you don't want to solder the pins in, you could just solder the wires into the motherboard, and then just have this inside, or as I do, hanging outside of the router. I'm always in it all the time. I love the serial interface. There it is, right there. And I can show you that quickly here in a second, but the cool part about it is that it gives you control over the command line of the router. I'll open that up for you, show you it. But this, by the way, has nothing to do with this video other than to show you something the serial connection. Okay, there's the serial connection. Not much going on there. Let's go back to the router. I will show you what happens when you change something. Okay, so I changed that to 161. Let's do this on the other one. Back to, so basically I'm choosing the highest channels. There we go. Let's see what happens in the serial connection, if anything. Yeah, there you go. You can see the actual router, what the actual router is actually doing in the background, right? And as I said, every time I change those settings, it's rebooting the what do you call it? The Wi-Fi radios. And that's the beauty of having a serial connection. You actually can get into the command line of the router and do what you want. But you can also do that with, well, somewhat with SSH and Telnet on the router as well. And if you go to services here and you turn on, let's see, it should be in here somewhere, SSH. There, turn that on, save and apply. It's a two-step. So you turn the SSH on. If you know what this is, you go back to administration over here, and you have to enable it, remote access here, right? So, and again, up to you if you know, if you want to do this. Now, I don't really recommend that too much, at least not the remote port. You know, again, it's up to you. You hit save and apply, and you can now connect to this through SSH. But I'm not going to bother. I'm just showing you where it is and how to do it. You just hit save and apply, and at that point, well, let's just do it. And you can see, working away back here, right, is the router on serial. Again, this has nothing to do with this video at all. I was just showing you what that does. That serial connection shows you. Okay, so here, if we go to CMD, run it as administrator. So we're opening up a command window. So once that pops up here, you will just type in SSH and then type in root, which is the user account to get into SSH as the admin. You would think it would be admin, the same thing you get into the router with, but it's not. It's root, and the same password you use to get into the router with the admin password combination. So so type in the username root, and at 192.168.1.1, hit enter, say yes to this question, and type in YES. And then now put in the password you used to log into your router. And there you are. Now you're in the command line of the router through SSH. Pretty cool. You can see where it says DD-WRT right on there. What do you want to do here? Let's ping Google and see if we get a response. And as you can see, we're getting a response. And you could use this as a connection test. If you just let this run for an hour or two in the background and come back to it when you stop the test, it tells you if you've dropped any packets. And if you're dropping a bunch of packets, like more than 1%, even 1%, I would say is start looking at what's going on with your network. But here, if you hit Control-C to stop it, you get all the information. 27 packets transmitted, 27 packets received, 0 packet loss. So, and it even tells you the round trip and the milliseconds and all that stuff. So really cool stuff with SSH. And again, never do this with the stock firmware on this router. You just like, no way. So there you go. There's a little trick. I just wanted to show you that. And let's see. Let's just move on. Other than that, there's just experiment. This is your router. You've got this new fancy firmware in it. There's a lot to experience and to learn. If you go to services, you'll see you got VPN, USB, NAS, hotspot, ad blocking, and I'll do videos on some of this stuff for sure in the future. Well, that's it. That's it for the video. If you like this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a very big favor. Give me a like. Give me a thumbs up down there at the bottom of the video. That helps the channel. It helps my video rank. It also tells YouTube that this is a good video to share with other people, which then you're helping other people reach my content, which helps them also reap the benefits of putting something like this on their router. This is just amazing what it can do, what it does to this router. It just transforms it. It's just way, way better. I'm not putting the stock firmware back in this router other than to show people a bad example, really. It's just terrible. Also, in the comment section underneath this video, questions, suggestions, anything you want to say to me, put it in there. Video suggestions, I love those as well. I look at those daily and respond to them, usually daily. And I appreciate your feedback. And video suggestions I love too. I've made many videos from people asking me, how do you do this, right? Or do you have a video on how to do this? No, I don't, but I'll make one for you, right? So that's cool, right? Also, if you like my channel, you want to see more of this kind of content, hit the subscribe button, and as part of the process, hit the bell icon. And when you hit the bell icon, what happens is every time I put up a new video, you get notified and you can watch it at your own leisure after that. Video description, I'll be putting YouTube chapters for this video, so that makes it easier to navigate through it. So look at the description for the chapters. Also in the video description, I'll be putting links for hardware I like to use, like for instance, USB 3 Ethernet, 1 gigabit Ethernet adapters. These are awesome if you don't have Ethernet on your laptop or whatever device. This will do it. I've actually plugged this into my phone and it works. It's just amazing. And under $10 or $10 or thereabouts. Over time it changes. Again, those affiliate links, they help my channel out a little bit, and they don't cost you any more than going directly to Amazon to get the same stuff. So do me a favor and use those links if you can. I appreciate you watching and doing that as well. Once again, like always, stay healthy, stay happy, be good to yourself and others, and we'll see you in the next video.